Hey guys, for this video we're going to be doing a fraction multiplication video. So you will actually need, let me zoom out a little bit. Sorry about my little coffee cup stain there, it's kind of dirty. What you're going to need is 2 of these half sheets of paper. Whenever you come in, your teacher should have that. If not, you should at least get 1 individual sheet of paper, and then you will just split it in half. If your teacher pre-printed your foldable, it will end up looking like this, okay? So you're just going to follow along and put it in the order that we put it in, if your teacher didn't give you just blank sheets. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you will take your paper and you will put it to where, I want both of my cut sides on the same side. You'll put it to where you have like a little flap, okay? The one on top is just about an inch or so longer than the one on the bottom, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to line those up and see the bottom, how it's got a little flap on it right there. On the bottom, you will line it up about the same, so you're about the same distance away, and then you just fold it in half. So sorry for my glare today. I don't know what is going on with my computer. But see, you should have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you end up with 4 flaps. When you get finished, you will need to make sure that you staple it. And when you staple it, notice how much I'm stapling. It is not very much. If you staple way down here, you can't open your flap. Okay, it won't work. So this will probably be a 2-part video. And I'm going to zoom back in so you can see a little better. A little bit more. There we go. So your top flap, okay, this is going to be your label. This is going to say fraction multiplication. Okay, fraction multiplication. Okay, on the front tab, you will also, down at the bottom, need to write your name. Okay, so on mine, I'm going to write Robertson. Yay. Okay, so our first flap's name is going to be multiply fraction. So we're going to put times fraction. On the second, or on the third flap, excuse me, so that one's our second flap. On our third flap, we're going to be multiplying by a whole number. So times whole number. And then your bottom flap, okay, is going to be times mixed numbers. So times mixed numbers. Okay, and this will all make sense once we start working them out, and you'll understand your labels more. Okay, so go ahead and flip your first flap up. Okay, this is where we're going to be multiplying by a fraction. We are going to be using both the top and the bottom flap, so you need to make sure that you write like I write, so you're not writing gigantic, otherwise your information will not fit. So at the top of this, there are 3 steps. So 3 steps. Okay, your first step is to multiply. So multiply numerators. Okay, remember that's your top number in your fraction. Multiply numerators. Your second step is to multiply the denominators. So multiply denominators. And then your third step is to always simplify. Now, as we go through the year, I am going to show you a way that you can simplify your work before you multiply it out. So it makes it a lot easier so that you don't have to simplify at the very end. Okay, so down here, we're going to use the example of 1/2 times 2/3. Okay, that's going to be our example. So how we're going to set this up is you're going to multiply your first fraction. You have your numerator and your denominator. I'm going to abbreviate. Times, and then you have another one which is numerator over denominator. That's what our fraction looks like. And then we should get an answer that also has a numerator and denominator. So what you're going to do for 1/2 times 2/3, okay, It is 1/2. I'm going to rewrite it down here. We're just going to multiply across, okay? 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? So that's our step 1, is to multiply numerators. Our step 2 is to multiply denominators. Our step 3 is to simplify. Okay, so our answer is 2/6. Now we know they're both even numbers, so 2 goes into both of these. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. And 6 divided by 2, equals 3. So your final answer is 1/3. So multiplying fractions probably really is one of the easiest things that we're going to do throughout 6th grade. It does end up being one of the simpler topics, and students seem to enjoy it. Okay, so that's it for our example for multiplying by a fraction. So flip your page up, and now we're going to multiply by a whole number. Okay, we're multiplying by whole numbers. So what we have to do first is we need to convert whole numbers to fractions, then use our previous 3 steps. Okay, so convert whole numbers to fractions. Oops. Then use 3 steps. Now remember, if I write too fast or I get going too quick, pause your video. You can always rewind it. You can always watch it again. Okay, just make sure that you're following along and that you're actually listening. Okay, to ensure that you're listening at this point, what I want you to do on the, let's see here, on this top right-hand corner up here on the top, I want you to draw a smiley face. Okay, any kind of smiley face you want. I am not going to draw it on my paper because the point is that I want to make sure that you guys are listening to these videos. So when I flip through your foldable and I see that you're not listening, you're not going to have a picture there. Okay, so don't tell your neighbors if they're not listening. They're going to have to deal with it because your teachers are going to know. Because if you don't put that little smiley face in the top corner of this paper, I'm going to know that you weren't listening and that you weren't following along. Okay, so our 3 steps here. Okay, we're going to use the same 3 steps as before. We're going to multiply numerators. We're going to multiply denominators. And then we are going to simplify. Okay, same steps as before. So say I have the whole number 6. Remember, in order to write a whole number as a fraction, we just put it over 1. Okay, so let's make a little note of that right now. Put whole number over 1 to make it a fraction. Over 1. Okay, that's a 1. To make it a fraction. Okay, so 6 is actually going to become 6/1. Okay, that's not new information. Hopefully you remember that. Okay, so for our example, we're going to do 2/3 times 3. Okay, so what this actually says, because we need to put this over 1, okay, that is 2/3 times 3/1. Okay, so our step 1, we got to rewrite our problem over here. 2/3 times 3/1. Our step 1 is to multiply numerators. So 2 times 3 is 6. Then our step 2 is to multiply denominators. So across the bottom, 3 times 1 is 3. And then our third step is to simplify. Okay, so 6/3. If you remember from our previous notes, fractions are just division problems. So all this means is 6 divided by 3. Well, 3 goes into 6 2 times, which is 6. We have no remainder. Our answer is just 2. This is saying what is 2/3 of 3. So if I split 3 into 3 equal pieces, I need 2 of them. 2/3 of 3. Okay, So I'm going to stop our video here, and then when we come back, we will do multiplication of mixed numbers, because I don't want our videos to get too long like the one last week. That thing was crazy. So stop your video here. If you haven't drawn your happy face, make sure you draw it where it's supposed to go so I know where to look, and then watch part 2 of the video to finish the last flap. Bye-bye.